There you go, and we're back. Like, yes.
Hi, you're watching A Better Day, A Better Life. I'm the host, Debbie Givens, and I still have with me two very enlightened gentlemen. I want them to share their love and their awareness and their consciousness with us. DaShawn Pretlow and Blane Charles. Thank you for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having us.
And we were talking previously about Nichiren Buddhism and, of course, universe and life. And you mentioned some mentors. I wanted to bring up, they're not mentors, but they're people that we well know that are trying to help us with our spiritual growth, our spiritual awareness. Deepak Chopra. Oprah, obviously, she has a whole Sunday dedicated to Super Soul Sunday, Ayanna Van Zandt, Fix My Life. I love watching her show when I had time.
Even before she had that show, I have always been a big fan of Ayanna Van Zandt.
And that's something?
Yeah, because I love her words. Her words of wisdom are just like so on point, because there are things she'll say sometimes I'm just like, that's it.
Because she's hit mode. She's hit bottom, and it's like, let me tell you, and she'll give it to you,
straight. Raw, no chaser. That's it.
No chaser.
I love that.
It's like, you must learn to forgive.
That's it.
And you know who else too? Louise L.
Hey, please mention her. Yes. I just joined that community last year. They had a big conference somehow on using the internet and telephone. And I purchased the DVDs, actually, I'm sorry, they're CDs, of all the conversations. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll listen to one a day. Now, you know how this is kind of like keeping up with chanting. You can't, there's not enough hours in the day. But because I wanted to be enlightened at least once a day. But it's a little bit long, and I'd like to take notes and make transcripts and stuff.
Listen to what you can. You don't have to listen to the whole
But
thing.
she did a great thing in getting all these authors of inspirational, emotional, philosophical, psychological authors of books and topics. Not in one place. I mean, obviously they were around the world, but she somehow coordinated all that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I was going to mention earlier, but it just we were so engrossed in our conversation. But one of the things that I'm doing now, that I want to incorporate all the things that inspire me, the quotes I read, the books I read, the people I know, I come into touch with from my travels, etc. I started a YouTube channel, and it's called Life, Living It Fiercely Empowered.
Wow.
And it's a 1-minute dose of inspiration from me every day, no matter where I'm at. Like, just wherever I'm at in my life, I'll stop for 1 minute and just talk to my audience.
Excellent.
And then it's like a selfie video. So I'm like, I have my thoughts that I want to share, and I just do my iPhone on video, but reverse it, so I'm taping myself.
Right.
And for 1 minute, and then I post it, I upload it.
That's excellent. Are you inspired by those? Like, do you actually go back and you look at it? It's like, I'm having a down moment.
Well, the reason why the culmination of really doing it, because I had an idea of some concept, but I didn't know exactly like how I was going to package it. And my friend, Nushka Depp, she's a Buddhist. She's a model from Holland. She's amazing. She's also one of our youth division in my district. And she interviewed me for her project, which is called Honor Your Bliss Every Day, HYBE.
Wow.
And so it's for her, because she travels so intensely, whenever she encounters an entrepreneur, an artist that inspires her, she interviews a day in their life. And it's a 1-minute interview of following them and talking about, So she followed me through New York City, and I took her to my favorite places like Aveda, obviously the Culture Center, Aveda, Dover Street Market, Spatica, where they take care of my skin.
Excellent.
And just some of these places. And she didn't know of any of the places that I took her to. She's like, oh my goodness, I had so much fun, And we hung out at Dover Street Market and had some dessert at Rose Bakery, which was first founded in Paris, and now wherever Dover Street Market opens, they open with them. It's just, all these cultural things I learned from my travels and living abroad for 10 years.
Wow.
So I said, okay, now I know what I want to do. It was from that I was able to kind of and then on the weekend of the Blue Moon, this was birthed, because it was on the weekend of the Blue Moon, I was working on my client's country house they just bought in South Fallsburg, and the Pleasure Lake is in their backyard. So when I'm sitting down eating, I'm actually looking out on this lake.
Wow.
And I have this photo I have to show you guys of the blue moon reflected on the lake. It was just like one of these magical moments. And I did evening ganyo, and after evening ganyo, I came up with life. That's it. It's all about life. And then the acronym LIFE, living it fiercely empowered. I was it was a light bulb moment,
You've
right?
gotta love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how it started. And now I'm on my I'll be taping my 11th segment today before I leave here. I'm going to tape it right here.
That's so awesome.
Excellent. See, another resource, folks.
Yeah.
Then this is the purpose of the show,
And I'm going to talk
bring
about
you
your
these.
show. I'm going to say I'm taping it after being on your show.
Wonderful. You know, it's another great. That's a great resource there, and something. You know, not everybody's at the level where they can radiate that. You know, that wisdom. You know, but I'm reading a book right now called "This Life Is Joy" by Roger Teal, and I better just get a copy of the book because I've been rewriting it, like taking notes to the point where it's like I'm writing whole chapters. I'm like, wait, stop. And the book is dual purpose. It has these chapters, and in the chapter titles you could use as mantras for the day, for each day of the week. And so this instant is love, I think, is the first chapter after they do the introduction and everything. And it's just been blowing me away. He told the story of a woman he was going to do the wedding for. He sat down with the bride, and she talked about how, you know, I mean, he went to her to talk about her big day, but her big day was really when she discovered self-love, to love herself. And yeah, she worked on the outer part, you know, to give herself more confidence, but, you know, a moment that she had, she was playing with a puppy, and it was cute but ugly at the same time, like it had a little deformity, but it carried on and had fun despite how it looked. And she was so inspired by the joy of this puppy that she realized it didn't matter, and she shed the pounds. She worked, but really she worked on the inside, and she was determined to feel better about herself. And of course, that opened up a whole bunch of wonderful things in her life, including getting to the point where she gets married.
Yeah,
and so
it's interesting that you mentioned that, because that's what I do as a design consultant. I help people to live their best lives, right, through customized management of either their wardrobe or interiors. And we always wind up getting into this conversation of what's going on inside. You know, you can have everything outside, you know, millionaires, billionaires. I mean, I've worked with people on all levels economically. And that the one thread that ties them all together is that how do you feel about yourself at the end of the day when you take it all off and get in bed? You know what I'm saying? When it all comes off, you're by yourself, or even with your man or woman, how do you feel then? And that's what we get at. So once you can really feel great about yourself, no matter how you look, without nothing on, stripped of everything, then we go from that place. We talk about what you want to do, you know, whether you want to buy a new wardrobe, change your image, but start from that place of self-love and self-acceptance.
Right, and there's another book I'm reading. Well, actually, I was in Barnes & Noble, and there was another book I started writing out too many notes and thinking, could I just buy this book? The 12 Universal Laws of Success.
Oh, yeah.
And the first one is thought. And when I read that, I said, I need to change my self-image, you know, the whole low self-esteem. And so I wrote out that entire chapter, including with the exercises and the great words of wisdom in there. Because everything jumps off from that. I mean, the law of attraction, and everybody else got rich on certain things that built up on that same idea. But this book goes way back. And the one, but the laws of success, something like that Napoleon Hill wrote. I mean, that's based on this book. And so, and some.
And Rich Man, Poor Man, that's another one.
Yes.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, they're all based on the same thing, and it's thought. And you're like, so.
It all goes back to those principles.
But we're still. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think a lot of people too, like the whole reason why we're even having this conversation is because I think a lot of us at one time, self-esteem. The fact of, I think a lot of us get too caught up. I know I can say for myself, especially when I was younger, I was too busy worried about what people had to say about me. I was so just entrenched in, well, how do my friends look at me? How do they feel about me? Why do you know? And
how about strangers? And
that too.
But when we're young, we're so concerned about that.
So concerned about that.
But you know why?
The thing is,
because people express it to you.
Yeah.
Nobody shuts up and just keeps their bad words to themselves.
It's true. And you know, somebody has always got something to say.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
As I was growing up, it was always, what are you? Because no one could figure out, was I quote unquote black, Hispanic, and my smart ass answer was always, I'm human.
Yes,
Thank
great,
you.
great.
Naturally, that would get me to fight in the schoolyard, be scruffing in the schoolyard, But the thing was, is that, and I was just growing up, and I used to say, and I'll never forget, I used to have conversations with my mom and my grandmother. I used to be like, what is that about?
Yeah.
Then as I got older, there was like, oh, okay, is he straight? Is he gay? All this other stuff. And I was just like, wow. As you get older, you realize it's all these isms and all these, everyone has to be in a category. And it's like, and I realized that I knew I'd be a damn rebel because I don't like being in a category. I don't like being in the box. I don't like being, my thing is I'm me. I'm uniquely designed and I'm not supposed to be like anybody else. And so, then there was the other thing of growing up always heavy set, And then eventually, like, it had to be, and it wasn't until I started chanting, honestly, that I really began the process to love me.
Self-acceptance.
Yes.
And that goes into the self-acceptance, into the ability to be my own cheering section.
Yeah.
Yep.
But one of the best things I ever learned, and it was cool because after, when I was working at an architecture firm in Soho, my immediate boss, and I'm sure she'll find out about this, Yvette Feinberg, which I love this woman. She's one of my mentors as well. She's like my built-in life coach. She said to me one day, I had like the craziest day at work and I was done. Like my facial expressions say it all. And you know what she said to me? She said, you need to worry about when people are not talking about you. And I looked at her, I was like, she says, because when people are not talking about you, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
And when she walked away from me, she turned around and she said, that's the look I expect to see on your face. It was like the ultimate, like, duh, aha moment. Because I'm just like, people talk too much. People talk too much, what they got to talk about, And I was just, and it has stayed with me till this day where it's like, exactly. If people are not talking about you, you need to start worrying because that means that you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
People will talk about you in a good way, but then the flip side is that people will talk about you in a bad way.
But you still have their attention.
And that's exactly right.
And you're still doing something good.
And you're still doing
Because
something
whenever
good.
you try to do something good, you're gonna get the heat.
You're gonna get the heat.
But that's interesting that you're sitting there, and we're totally opposite, body types and whatever. And what you're saying, I could have said the exact same thing.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And my mentor, I had a life coach. Her name was Kathleen Booker.
All right.
Kathleen Booker was she was a strong black woman. She is a strong black woman, excuse me.
That's it.
She was very to the point. She was not sugarcoating anything for me. And she really got me through some really tough moments in my life.
That makes two of us. Yeah.
Isn't
I need
it
a life
something?
coach.
And this is why
But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, oh, I don't,
Right.
I'm too skinny, or I don't have enough muscle, or I'm too effeminate, or I don't know, my head's too big. There's all these
it's
things
all
that
these
we
little
can,
things, and and it's funny because I go places and people tell me, "Oh, you're so handsome. Oh, you're so nice looking. Oh, you're so," and in the back of my head, I'm kind of like, wow. I guess because I see me every day, so I have those moments where I'm kind of like, damn, Day-Day, you could drop a few more pounds. You're getting there, but we can do a little something, But it is nice when you go places and people say that, it's like that nice acknowledgement. Of course you get the naysayers,
well, you're gonna get those who are envious.
Oh, please,
too.
exactly. And it's so funny because for me, I am living that mantra about not being put into a box. And so, it's infamous when I go places and a conversation will come up, and they, it comes up through conversation. Okay, so yeah, I'm gay. And people just go, you are? And I'm like, is that a problem?
Right.
And they're just like, well, no, we weren't expecting that. And I'm kind of like, I'm like, okay.
Expectations.
Then the thing is, it's just funny that
but
I
that's all the
realize,
preconceptions
it's
of
the
what gay looks
preconceptions.
like.
Exactly. And the
like.
thing is how people have all the time these preconceived notions of what it is to be, to be gay or to be chunky or to be, and I'm just kind of like, at the end of the day, who cares?
Well, but those people are insecure.
Right.
And
Yes.
And
And they're
I need to know
and
what
they're
you are
deflecting
because
on you.
exactly.
Right.
I need to know what you are because then I feel safe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or
and
whatever.
I guess for me, that's why I look at them sideways when that happens because I don't look to anyone to feel safe.
No.
Right.
Like, I'm so happy to have been brought up amongst strong men and women that have taught me that you don't look to other people
For your strength.
For your strength.
No.
for security, to be, you know, and I guess this is why I'm single too, because, you know, I've had those issues in certain relationships in my life where, you know, you with folks who feel that they have to take care of you, and then when you let them know that, no, I don't need that because I'm self-sufficient, then it's this, oh, well, then you just think you're better than everybody else. No, it's the fact that I was raised to be self-sufficient. And I
that's
don't
that's the sign of a good, true relationship is two self-sufficient people inspiring each other to take it to the next level and go forward.
Hello.
It's not looking at each other, it's looking forward.
Hello.
I don't know. I did all the work.
But before I forget, though, I have to say something about people saying, people admiring you and saying you look good. The thing that also I learned from going through that rough period when I was chanting like 12-hour tozos, 24-hour tozos, 10-hour tozos, and my life condition was like soaring through that, right, to really win. And even though I felt like I didn't have anything, or I felt like really like, oh, my life sucks right now, people would come up to me all the time in the street or wherever, wow, you look so amazing. What is it you're doing? I want some of that.
Yes.
And this is when I'm not in a place where I have everything. This is when I'm struck, when I'm going through the
You know what I think
Yes.
that is
So true.
sometimes?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, we have similar beliefs, but some extra. The whole thing I showed you before about we're here and we're a spirit, and there are bad spirits and good spirits. When people say that all of a sudden, the people that don't know, I always think it's spirit tapping someone because they see that you're not feeling, they don't see that loving energy that you have for yourself or you're supposed to have for yourself, and they tap somebody, and that person just all of a sudden turns and says, you know, oh my God, that's gorgeous, or you're gorgeous. You know, because I've had that happen a few times. Strangers, men, will just out of the blue, I'll just be walking the other way and they'll say, God, you're beautiful. Can I get your number? And then be like, huh? Okay, no, thank you. And
especially on them days when you ain't feeling so pretty.
Right,
I have those days where I be like rough, you know, and I'm just like, goodness gracious.
It's like, is this
you
a
know,
scam? No, but it's spirit tapping. It's
Right.
spirit tapping and saying, don't forget that you are beautiful, or don't forget that you're special. You know what I mean? Because we do forget that, especially when things aren't going well.
Yes.
And you blame yourself or bad luck.
And
or
Blane
whatever.
is so on point with that because I know when I've gone through, you know, some serious obstacles in my life, and you're doing the chanting and you're going to Tozos, and you know, you going literally through hell and high water with, you know, all-terrain boots and everything on, and you just like, all right now, I don't know.
When am I going to get to the top of that mountain?
Right, like, can I get to the apex, please?
Yeah, please.
It happens in God's
People will
time.
stop you, and that's the truth. And they will say to you, you look amazing, you look great. And I'm kind of like, I'm going through hell right now.
No, that's right.
Like, okay, and then you kind of like, okay.
But then you go,
But
oh,
then you go,
because you realize it's that. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's those nice
It's your little
little
wake-up call.
reminders.
It's your little, reminders.
That sometimes we're so, even for us, even though we're on the right path in terms of living better lives and to continue on the right path, and to, I guess, when you're going through those turbulent times and your determination is that intense, there are people on the outside that see that and they don't know that you're going through a turbulent moment, but them giving you that acknowledgement, say, you look amazing today, or, you know, and you're just kind of like, okay, acknowledgement, I get it.
But the other thing is too, like this is part. I'm trying to remember the 3 points that Daisaku Ikeda stresses for winning victorious life in 2015. A dynamic development.
The dynamic development. Yes.
One is to change ourselves.
Yes.
And the second one is to be joyful in that process.
Yes.
But I'm trying to remember the third one, and I can't. I'm like, well, I'm brain fart. But being joyful in the process of overcoming the challenge is why people come up to you, because that's really the value of the practice, right?
Totally.
It's to teach us to embrace the obstacles and the challenges joyfully.
Right,
and that's winning right there.
Totally.
That's winning right there.
Just to change your attitude and your energy on something bad that's happening to you.
You know, and the thing is too, it's also, and I remember that very early on when I started the practice, is that we're each a representative of a value-creating society, which is what SGI, Soka Gakkai, is value-creating society. And it's an amazing responsibility, to really be honest with you. You know, and I realize in every place that I go, whether it's here at work or in my travels, how it's like there's an automatic acknowledgement when you encounter someone, and sometimes people just say, wow, you're really bright and bubbly. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Not only am I present, but I'm doing things. So it's like, you know, it's one more day to do this. And, you know, when you realize that that is your determination, when you have a practice like this in your possession, you do realize that you have a very, very successful and lengthy life to live. you know, especially if that is your determination to live a life that has value, that has meaning, and that you want to show that to others, you know, whether it's families, friends, strangers, or anywhere in between, you know. And the thing is that, you know, you live a fearless life. It's a fierce life.
Fearless.
You know what I mean?
Life.
It's a fearless life. You know what I mean? It's like a lion. It really is amazing. And, you know, I think back to, you know, 26 years prior, and I'm like, wow.
Well, but that was a building, that was an evolving process.
Yes, exactly.
And we need the tools, and this
Yeah.
show is about
Totally.
giving you those tools and resources,
Absolutely.
or pointing you into
Yes.
that direction.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know, and you know, because I'm grateful for whatever direction and help that I've received along the way. I didn't have mentors. But I had a spiritual advisor for a short amount of time, and she told me that you're going through this by yourself, and so you don't really have elders and whatnot to help you figure these things out. So it's taking me longer, and you know, making some wrong turns or whatever, or the lessons are coming slowly, and I'm having a hard time decipher them. But you know, I am plugging through on my own. Besides therapy, but
Moving forward, right?
yeah,
That's
but
it.
yeah,
Exactly.
but you know, it might take 26 years for me to have that full evolution where, you know, challenges look just like gifts
Right,
and blessings,
that's it,
and
yes.
somebody here actually told me about my experiences of being in shelters. He said, detach from what happens to you moment to moment, and just know that you're where you're supposed to be, and there's a goal from all of this, and you know, you're not. This is just temporary.
Right.
He said, so detach what happens on a minute-to-minute
And you
basis.
use the key word, temporary. I think sometimes, depending on what the trauma or the event is, some people have a very hard time shaking off the trauma.
Right,
Yes,
right,
And so because the experience is really traumatic,
Right.
they get stuck in that rut where it's very negative, and that's all the thought process is negative.
Negative.
Yeah, I went through that for 3 weeks.
Sure,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
And the thing is that, but then you realize, okay, wait a minute now. Oh yes, I'm still here.
And you have a choice.
I have a choice.
You
And
have a
that is
choice.
the most amazing thing about life itself, is that it is about choice.
Yes.
Some choices you make are very immediate, and they give you a direct response where you know if it's the right choice or not. And then others take a little while longer to really, for you to get the idea, like, okay, that wasn't a good choice. But then the beautiful thing is that you have the opportunity to make another choice.
Right.
To change or correct, or to just veer away from the incorrect choice.
Well, we do, you know, we live with our choices. There's a show also on Eminem that questions whether we have free will. And I said, well, we do and we don't, or we don't and we do. We get Y's in the road. We don't get a whole bunch of choices. So you pick one based on, you know, whatever. It's easier, or I can see the end result better, whatever. Without knowing what the universe had in mind, like the grander path might have been the other side,
Yes.
but you would have had more
Right.
tribulations to get there. And so we only get, to me, we only get two choices. We don't. It's not a free for all.
Or multiple choice.
Right. Exactly. So I told the air best I could. So
There you go.
so when you say choices, you know, it's not A through E.
Exactly.
It's usually A or B.
A, thank you.
You
That's
know,
it.
and
A or B, right. Door number one or
Door number two.
That's it. You know, the choice is up to you. That's why I love The Matrix.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite trilogies, because it just starts with the blue pill or the red pill.
That's it.
Okay, and it's so true, because it's just like what we just touched on. There is not a multiple choice or E, all of the above. It's A or B. You know, and if you are paying attention, then you realize that, okay, A started out to be the right choice, but now that I'm at this particular juncture and point of my life, I think I need to now incorporate B.
Or have B instead
Or
of
have
A.
B instead of A.
Instead of A.
You know, but you know, with some enlightenment and wisdom, you come to that realization point that, you know.
And you have to
you're in
evaluate. You have to
charge.
evaluate
Yeah.
when you make a choice and you do something, or something happens. You have to
Yes.
evaluate it, and you know, some of us analyze and overanalyze. And
Well, that's why when I
yeah.
chant
Yeah.
for clarity and
Yes.
wisdom. Clarity and wisdom.
Totally.
For clarity and
wisdom.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's necessary. And sometimes that clarity and that wisdom is a bit intense. You know, it's
Yeah.
almost like clairvoyance, where you're kind of like, I see it way down there, and I know that I'm going to go this way. And I don't want that down there, you know. But then when you see things appear or happen, you say, wow, I'm glad I made that choice.
Well, if you're lucky, you have enough wisdom, experience, knowledge, or guidance, like you, the two of you had life coaches to be able to make those decisions. Some of us are making these decisions a little bit blind, and when we don't have feedback, that lets us know that or even clues of which choice, you know, is the best one. And so you make one out of panic or depression or, you know, not in the right mind, not in the right frame, and, you know, and the consequences.
Well, that's
painful.
the great thing about chanting. So you can put yourself in the right frame of mind before you make the decision.
So chant before you make a decision?
Oh, yeah. I chant before and after.
So do I.
Wow.
You both, before and after.
That's an interesting concept, folks. Chant before you have a major decision to make and clear your mind, and then afterwards to seal the intent on it, I suppose.
Absolutely. There you go. Seal the deal.
Seal the intent. Okay.
Absolutely.
And be clear about, you know, what you want out of that.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good, good, good. Well, we're running out of time, gentlemen. I thought perhaps, you know, if you guys had, you know, your favorite quote or something, or you want to quote from your favorite mentor, or say something to inspire us.
Mine's is short. Winter always turns to spring.
That's it. That's exactly right. One of my favorites is Carpe Diem, seize the day.
Yes.
I just saw something on Facebook, actually a few things. I go to Facebook for a little inspiration because I get things like spirit science and the collective evolution, and they always have these wonderful, there was one that someone posted, or one reposted from the other. You weren't born just to have a job, pay bills, and die. And people were making comments, and my comment was, actually, we're actually born to work on ourselves and to help others, particularly those less fortunate.
Well
there's more to it, you know, we agreed to come back, we picked our parents, and so, okay, I'll jump into that situation, and I think I can get done what God has bestowed me with, you know, being done. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming back on the show. It was just as wonderful as the first one, and that was so impromptu. And we waited 3 hours to do that one.
Yes.
And that's what's so great about doing this 3 years later.
Right.
You know,
3 years later.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just about 3 years. We did it in September of 2012.
Wow.
Amazing.
And so I'm proud. And thanks for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having
Everyone, I
us.
hope that you have enjoyed these shows. Again, I've been trying to bring you resources and information and advice, wisdom, knowledge, and places to go to free your mind. Watch The Matrix. There's a lot of messages buried in those 3 movies. So have a better day and live a better life. Debbie Gibbons out. Peace.
Yay.
Yay. Peace.